Throughout the history of man, the bull has been the symbol of power, virility, and strength. The bull's likeness is in the stars, and he's the subject of pictures etched on walls of caves more than 15,000 years ago. As the center of early religions, the bull was believed to be the source of all things useful to mankind. For Nichols Farms, the bull is big business and a lot more. Bulls are a way of life. They're the core of a close-knit yet growing social structure of family, friends, and neighbors. The bull is the common bond. He is the center of all thought and activity, and he's the subject of virtually every conversation. The Nichols Bull. The Nichols story began in 1939 when Merrill and Gladys Nichols mortgaged every cow, chicken, and pig to raise the down payment for 240 acres of Adair County, Iowa farmland. This was home for a growing family of 4 children, Dave, Edith, Lee, and Evelyn. In those early days, there was a lot of hard work, and everyone carried their fair share of the load. And there was the good old school of hard knocks, 4-H, FFA, judging contests, shows, and those never-to-be-forgotten lessons learned at home. Merrill Nichols, the patriarch, was never a follower. In fact, he was always one of the first to adopt new technology. As a farmer, he was one of the first in Adair County to own a combine and a corn picker and to use pre-emergent herbicides. And he was the first to sell his horses to move totally to tractor power for farming. If there was ever a need for new technology and it wasn't available, he manufactured it himself. This kind of drive made the cattle business a natural for Merrill Nichols. He passed this intuitiveness on to his family. You can see it in their eyes, and you can hear it in their conversation.
When they first started up bull test stations in Iowa, my brother Lee and I were very concerned about whether we should take 1 bull or 3 bulls or how many bulls to take, because we were dwelling on what would happen if we got beat. Being in our 20s, we never bothered to ask Dad what he thought, and we were at the breakfast table and we said, what do you think we should do, Dad? And he said, well, I think you should take 3 bulls out of each sire we've got. We pointed out to him that some of the giants of the bull testing industry was going to be there, and we started telling him what would happen to us if we got beat. If our cattle didn't gain well enough. And finally, in frustration, I said, Dad, what are we going to do if our cattle can't measure up against the Corbins and the Erdmans and these bulls? He says, it's simple. Buy the one that beats you.
The Nichols have a love for the land. They understand that the laws of nature rule all, and they have an unfailing loyalty to family and neighbor. This was Merrill's legacy, which is being passed on now to the 3rd generation of Nichols. Merrill Nichols and Sons, as the farm was known then, was a farmer feeder enterprise, converting grass and corn into a cash crop through feeder cattle. Early on in the development of their new enterprise, they encountered a major problem. The western states simply could not produce an adequate supply of feeder cattle, and the price became too high. Merrill decided that the time was right for cows in the Midwest, so they bought 40 Angus females and began producing their own supply of feeder cattle.
We knew that these were the kind of cattle that it took to gain well in the feedlots, so that's the kind we had. We never really planned on becoming purebred breeders, but these big cows that had calves every year attracted the attention of some of our neighbors, and we started getting inquiries about would they save a calf for us and so on. So we decided to keep some bulls.
This is really how and why the Nichols family got started in the bull business. It was also the beginning of a lifelong research project in applied genetics.
My champion 4-H heifer had a calf that I thought the day he was born was the greatest calf I'd ever seen. 3 weeks later, the calf was the same size. It was obviously a snorter dwarf. I was in high school and went up and met the Dr. Lush, the father of population genetics. He was so excited that somebody had a dwarf calf that would admit he had a dwarf calf that wanted to do something about it. And so we took a bull with a dirty pedigree, meaning that he had ancestors that had dwarfism, and crossed him on 35 of his own daughters 2 years in a row and tested every animal clean for dwarfism. Everyone had told us that we could never sell bulls out of cattle that had dwarf pedigrees. We decided that we would keep 3 bulls because several of the neighbors had asked us to, and we ran an ad in the Greenfield paper that we had for sale bulls that were guaranteed not to sire dwarfs and had been progeny proven not to sire dwarfs. That paper came out on Thursday noon. While we were eating dinner, 12 commercial men pulled in our yard to buy a bull that would not sire dwarfs. And from that day on, we decided we were going to level with the commercial man.
By 1959, Nichols were collecting data for 205-day weights, rate of gain, and yearling weights. And then, says Dave Nichols, came bull test stations. This is where they found out that there were genetic differences not only between breeds, but within breeds. And the race was on through the Certified Meat Sire program. And then in the mid-1960s, they began using weight and gain data for calculating estimated breeding values, EBVs, and most probable producing ability, MPPAs. Attention to detail and a keen awareness of the laws of nature, in this case, the role of genetics, allowed the evolution of Merrill Nichols and Sons from a small family purebred operation to Nichols Farms, a large purebred genetic establishment. Today, Nichols Farms covers more than 4,000 acres of rolling hill country. This is the proving ground, a working ranch where it gets cold in the winter and hot in the summer. And the other 2 seasons, as one of the Nichols crew puts it, is absolute perfect heaven when it's not too wet or too dry. The production facilities, 1,200 head of registered cows that are allowed to remain here as a part of the 3-breed cow herd for one reason. They have proven themselves to be producers. In fact, Nichols Farms was the first cow-calf operation in the country to move to multi-breeds.
We'd been in the Angus business since the early 50s, and it was a very hard decision for us to believe that Angus couldn't do everything better than any other breed could do anything. But we felt that to complement our Angus, we had to go to one of the large frame, fast-growing exotic breeds, and we chose Simmental because Simmental also have maternal attributes in addition to their frame and growth. This worked very, very well for a little while until our customers came in and said, "All right, Nichols, now I've got these crossbred heifers, what are you going to do for me now?" And so after a lot of soul searching and looking at data, and most important of all was going out and visiting with some of the people that we'd sold cattle to, we made the decision to add a 3rd breed, and this breed was Solares. The thing about Solares is they are cattle that have lots of hair, lots of calving ease and calving vigor, and they really can stand Iowa's winters.
The purpose of the exercise focuses here, the bull test facility. Dave simply explains it this way. He says, bulls are our business, and the Nichols know their business. More than 400 bulls are tested here each year at this comprehensive bull test facility. It's one of those situations where they're looking for a few good men, and it takes a good man to earn the title of Nichols Bull.
Our bulls come into our bull test barn here at weaning time, but not all of them that are weaned get the luxury of living in this nice facility. About a third of them at weaning time because of their weaning weight, birth weight, or just simply because they're wild or some other problem, they go straight for a one-way Tecatar feedlot, and they leave their testicles laying on the ground before they go there. The bulls are put on a high silage, high hay, moderate ration designed to gain about 3 pounds a day. Then, after 60 days on test, we go in there and take another cut of bulls out. These are bulls that are failing to gain what we think they should. Then the bulls are priced, and they're priced according to their own performance, which includes birth weight, weaning weight, rate of gain, yearling weight, and EPDs, which are expected progeny differences. After all the test is completed, the bull then is semen checked, and at that time and that time only does he earn the title a Nichols Bull.
Phyllis Nichols, Dave's wife and a working partner, is actively involved in the day-to-day management. Lillian Nichols, a full partner and wife of the late Lee Nichols, rounds out the management team. Lee and Dave were about as close as two brothers could get. Lee passed away at the age of 38 after a heroic battle with leukemia, and he is missed as only a brother and father can be missed by his family. Although at the time, it did not seem possible to carry on. But they found out that all along, working right along beside them, was this incredible group of people. This crew not only got the operation through those rough times, but growth, expansion, and the future are foremost in everyone's minds. And they remember Lee's creed. Lee said, "The monument to what you do is in good work." The Nichols family is growing at a geometric rate. It includes not only the family partners and the management team, but the customers feel as much a part of the operation as everyone else. Good work comes in many forms. As for the Nichols customers, well, every year there's a family reunion of sorts where all customers, current and old, registered and commercial producers, attend a sure enough old-fashioned barbecue and hoedown, where everyone in attendance is the honored guest.
We've always appreciated our customers at Nichols Farms, and because they have continued to support us through the years is one of the reasons Nichols Farms has grown to be the kind of operation it is. But several years ago, in the midst of what I could only call an agricultural economic holocaust, we were selling bulls at about twice the price of what our customers could get from anyone else. This was shortly after Lee died, and Nichols Farms was experiencing, like everyone else was, some real economic hardship. And we decided at that time that we wanted to say thanks to our customers, so we held our Customer Appreciation Day. I guess I'll never forget how I started off, because I didn't know what I was going to say to them, and it was a very emotional thing for me looking out at all those faces of my customers and friends. And I just simply said, for years, we've been telling you that Nichols Farms takes care of its customers. Well, I want you to know that the last year, the customers took care of Nichols Farms.
The centerpiece, the theme, the focus, even though he may not be sitting center stage at that very moment, is always the Nichols Bull. He's the result of a very precise, very exact genetic design and engineering process. The result of the process is a Nichols Bull with a single purpose: to pass on his traits, to replicate himself in as large a number of offspring as possible within a 63-day period of time. When a bull leaves Nichols Farms, he not only knows his job, but he has the ability to carry it out. He's a high-performance piece of genetic engineering designed to function in the real world. And when the first bull is shipped to another planet, guess who it'll be? Yep, the Nichols Bull.